So I'm going to continue with the sticker lesson. Basically, this sticker has no issues. You may have seen me fill this in, which is called hatching. So I'll recap that real quick. All right, so before you hatch, it's a good idea to check and just make sure there's no closed pieces, because if there's like a small opening, it just won't work right. So if I had a little opening like that and I go to hatch, it actually could possibly work, but it usually will give you an error. Like this says the hatch boundary is not closed. And even though I'm zoomed out, I'm zoomed out enough, I can't see that error over here. So sometimes it'll actually give you a little red circle, but in this case, no. All right, so I'm pretty sure that's closed. I'm going to do the hatch command. Now, the hatch button is at the upper left. Basically, it fills it. If you ever use Paint Bucket in like another program, it's very similar. So you can click the button, or you can type in H for hatch. All right, and first thing it asks me, at least at the bottom and where my cursor is to pick an internal point. And if you have your cursor in the middle, you can see it may automatically fill that up. Sometimes it's glitchy. Sometimes you got to zoom in and zoom out, and sometimes, it just wants to be a pain. But in this case, it worked okay. Now, if I want to change the color, I could either click on the hatch again, and I could change the patterns in it, or the colors right here. All right, so that's the hatch. Now, we're going to use the hatch to basically test if our stickers are going to work correctly. This one has no problems, but if I make a smiley face, that's not it. Smiley face is going to be a bad smiley face, but it'll get the point across. I want to give him a square nose. Okay, so that's my scary smiley face. I'm now going to use the hatch pattern, especially if you do the hatch pattern at the same color, and it will give me an idea of how well this works. Okay, now right now it's the pattern, but if I click solid, now you can see that you just won't be able to see certain parts of this. So if you have a sticker that you're concerned about, or maybe is a little bit complex, or if you're seeing like single line things on the inside, this is definitely worth trying out. There's a couple ways we can fix this. First way is to use the hatch. We gotta use the offset command. So offset shortcut is O. And I'm gonna hit space. Now it says to specify the offset distance. In this case, I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to draw a line out to maybe here. And then after I click, it says to select the object, so I'll click that, and then you just pick what side you want it to be on. Okay, so now I got an offset line. I have to close this up. Oh, that was a mistake. Okay, so L for line. And now the nose is still going to have a problem. Just a couple ways I can either close that up this way, or I could offset that again. And if I go back into offset, it will remember the last setting that I basically drew that line. And it actually tells me it was 0.1234, which works for me. So if I want to keep that same distance, I'm just going to hit space once. And then I'm going to click on the line. And I'll have to clean it up. So I can either use trim, or I could use fillet. So this is a trim. You just click on those. If I used fillet, I would just hit F. And you want to make sure it says radius is 0. Or you can always try it and see what happens. There's that, and then it's a matter of closing it up. Okay, let's try this one more time. Hatch pattern. And it's telling me that the boundary is actually not closed, which you can see what happens when it's not. So let me just check. I think it's actually fine. I'm going to just zoom in a little bit and try again. All right, I don't know where the problem is. I can actually try typing RE for regenerate, and then hopefully it'll work this time. No. Well, that's interesting. So I'm just going to keep checking. There is a trick that we can do, because like I said, sometimes it doesn't work. So it's kind of actually a perfect example. A couple tricks. You could select everything and type the J key, and that'll give you join. So that should join everything. So now the mouth is one piece. The nose is one piece. So that's one way. The other way is you could cut this up into sections. Let's say, just do temporary line here, maybe a temporary line right through here, right? So now when I hatch it, it'll certainly work. And I can just click all 3 parts at one time. I'll delete these. And you can see it's still basically one piece, and it gets the job done. All right, so that's actually perfect that it gave me an error. But now you can see how you can test your sticker. You can use offset to give it a little bit of thickness. And there's one other time that you might want to do an offset is if I had an intersecting line. Let me see. Delete this. So if I had something, let's say maybe I don't know, maybe a hat. Let's say a hat. So I got a hat on his head. That's good enough. All right, so there's my messy hat. You're definitely going to want to trim out anything that overlaps. But now, I want to be able to see this brim, and if I hatch this, hopefully it works all the way through this time. Of course it won't. I have to cut this up again. Try that. There. All right. So my hat, it works, right? But it's losing some definition. So what I'll do is I'll use the offset tool just like we did before. And I'm even going to keep the same settings. All right, now that might be an issue. I'll move the eyes down in here. Okay, so I offset that line, and then it's just a matter of trimming that out. So now when I hatch it, it should look okay. 1, 2, 3. Oh, do an extra one. Oh, that's giving me issues, isn't it? All right, so ultimately, this will work. I just don't want to fumble around right now. The hat also might want some more definition too, and then I can be done. So if I wanted to see this brim as like a separate entity, you want to do an offset in the right direction. All right. I know I'm doing things fast, but now it'll give you the idea. You can still see the brim. It just gives you a little gap in between, just for visual, just for it visually to look good. Let's see if this will let me do this. Hey, there we go. So voila, it's not a great sticker, but it would cut out. You'd be able to see everything, and that's really all there is to it.